Hey everyone, I'm Crystal, the founder of Book of Bijou. Thank you again so much for joining us for another episode of Minding Everyone's Business. Today we have the founder of Terra, Dianna Allen.
Thank you so much for having me, Crystal.
Terra is a small batch, hand-poured, vegan and cruelty-free candle company based out of St. Louis, Missouri. And Dianna is just this incredible Wonder Woman of business ideas. As always, I will let her give you all of the juicy details about what she has going on. If you want to check out her candle company, do so at terrasimply.com. And when you use code Book of Bijou, you will get one free mini candle with any candle purchase. Just make sure to add both of the items to the cart and the discount will automatically apply. So Dianna, why don't you go ahead and get started? Tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and how you got started with your business.
Yeah, definitely. My name's Dianna. I started Terra back in December 2019. So it's been just over a year that I've been doing this business. Up until the start of Terra, I was a graphic designer and I specialized in product packaging. I did this while I spent a lot of time abroad. So I guess you could say I kind of had a quarter life crisis. And when I was about the age of 24, I was living in Chicago at the time. And I was just like, what am I doing with my life? I just want to travel. So I remember that summer, I sold everything I owned and I just worked and saved all the money I could. And I just left. But when I was overseas, because I was a graphic designer, I really had a need or want to get involved with the physical product industry. And I've always been a hands-on person. When I was at home, I had a hobby of making bath bombs. So when I was away, I was kind of I can't really do that same stuff anymore, but how can I still be involved in this industry? So that's when I specialized in product packaging because I connected with a guy who started a shampoo business. And basically that just was my foot in the door to that industry. And I did that the whole time I was abroad. I spent time abroad between Europe and Southeast Asia, a lot of time in Southeast Asia. And when I came home for the holiday season in 2019, because I was home, it was just kind of a no-brainer for me to start a product business of my own. And I was like, what is something I've always wanted to do? And I just immediately went back to my time in Chicago. And the thing is, I was so busy working 2 jobs, and I was even going to school for marketing then, that it's I had this desire to make candles, but I just didn't have the time. And in 2019, being back home, it was just kind of okay, I'm going to make the candles. I still obviously want to keep doing this, so I'm going to do it now. This is my chance. And the rest is history.
So when did you leave to go stay abroad?
So I went abroad in 2017.
So for 2 years,
I was gone for, yeah. Wow. And it was actually close to 2.5 years. So I like to say 3 years, but it was a good amount of time gone. And that was why when the holidays came around, I was like, oh my gosh, I haven't been home. I need to go home.
Yeah. Well, that's incredible. That takes a lot of courage for one. That's a long time to be away from home, and you were by yourself.
Yeah. So I was by myself for about a year, and then I met someone and I was kind of dating him, and we kind of traveled together, did that for the remainder year. And then I spent another period of time alone. So it wasn't so terrible where I was completely lonely the whole time, right. But there's a lot of groups and communities you can get involved in. So I often found ways to make friends while abroad. So never did I really feel alone.
That's great. And you were freelancing the whole time, right?
Correct. Yeah. So I was doing graphic design basically since I left Chicago.
Well, I just want to give you props because it's so obvious that you have this background in graphic design and packaging because your products look amazing. They're so beautiful. It's obvious how much care and love and thought you put into your packaging for sure.
Thank you. So, that's something when I started Terra, there was kind of 2 things I wanted to focus on. Part of me just personally, I really wanted to learn how to make candles because I just love candles myself. Mm-hmm. And then the second part of it was I want to make something beautiful. So that's awesome to hear.
So aside from Europe and Southeast Asia, what are some other of your favorite travel destinations?
Every time someone asks me this, my heart immediately goes to Canada just because, and
Canada.
I think this, yes, I know, like it's kind of random. It's very close to home. But I think it's because this is where my travel bug started. So right before I went abroad in 2017, the summer of 2016, my dad, he lives in Florida, but he was just like, do you want to come to Canada with me and your stepmother? She has family in Canada. And I was like, sure, why not? As an adult, I hadn't been abroad. Growing up, I spent a lot of time in the Philippines, but that was kind of the only other place I'd been to. And being half Filipino, it was kind of just like home. Like there wasn't, I mean, it was fun, but it wasn't like, oh, this is such an exciting new thing.
Yeah.
So when I was 23 and went to Canada and stayed there for like 10 days with my dad, it was just kind of like, oh my gosh, it's culture shock. Like it's still the same, but it's still so different. And like, it really just got me like wondering what else is out there. And so that's when I basically made that plan to, okay, I need to see the rest of the world.
Right. So your candle scents, they're all based on your travels and all of your adventure, right? Was that always the plan, or was that something that kind of just made sense? Like you love to travel and you really want to make candles. Why not combine the two?
Initially, I mean, I guess you could say from the beginning, I kind of did have like a rough business plan. I did want Terra to be a thing. And I do recall writing down like scents inspired by nature, scents inspired by travel. And so I guess from the beginning, it was kind of like I wanted to pull from different countries, but I didn't really think of tying that into my travel experience until later down the road.
So can you tell us some of your favorite scents and what some of the memories are that are tied to them? I'd love to hear.
Yeah. So right off the bat, my favorite one is bamboo coconut. This is one I have in my classic collection, and it goes back to Thailand for me. When I left Chicago, the first place I visited was Thailand. And I think that this scent is just so memorable to me because that was my first destination abroad. So for me, it's just, there's just so much like love tied to it, and just like honestly like personal growth, and just like there's just a lot of like memories tied to it. So bamboo coconut is the one for me. Like that is my hands down favorite. And honestly, it just smells so good. And like you cannot walk outside in Thailand and not smell like all the beauty of the tropical around you. So just so many good things. My second favorite scent would have to be midnight. This one is tied to my memories being in Europe, and specifically in Scandinavia, just because that was my first time experiencing like castles and like architecture like that. And I just remember there was one night in particular where from where I was staying down the street was just this historic castle built in like 1200. And I remember walking there every evening for a week and just like sitting outside the castle, looking at the stars. And it's located right on the Baltic Sea. And it's just like this like cold, crispness that's like, I don't know, I just feel like I managed to capture that moment in the scent midnight.
I love that name, first of all, and it sounds like it smells beautiful. So I would definitely want to try that one. So on your website, you really put this emphasis on living seasonally. And you also mentioned that living seasonally is equivalent to living simply. So aside from using that kind of narrative as like the formula to create your candles, how do you use that like in your everyday life?
So I think living seasonally, that has been the backbone of Terra to begin with. And it's just because I think that's a lifestyle everyone can adapt. For me, it just kind of like dates back to human nature. A lot of it has to do with eating, actually. There's a reason why, like in fall, we eat apples and we eat pumpkin. It's because that's what grows what's in season. And, cycling through that in summertime, we eat berries and, all the like fruits. And I just think these are habits you can incorporate into your lifestyles, just kind of transitioning with the seasons, taking life slowly, just taking what is available to you in that moment rather than seeking more.
Mhm. I love that. And to take it a step further, you've now launched Simply Seeds, which I just saw today. So that's exciting. I feel like this interview was
Yes.
postponed for a reason, so I could like bring these things up. But that's awesome. So tell me
Yeah.
about that as well.
This kind of is just like a very spontaneous thing. If I'm being honest, it was just last week. I had just recently moved into a house, so I wanted to possibly start a garden. And I was browsing, I think, Home Depot for vegetable seeds, just a few. And I was just looking at all these like packets. And it's like my mom grows vegetables and she grows them every year. She just puts seeds in the ground and like that's pretty much it. Like there's not much more to it. But these vegetable seeds I was looking at, everything seems so complicated. And then just me with the graphic design background, I was even noticing that the vegetable seed packets, they just looked awful. So I was just like, ugh, like there's like a gap in the market. I feel like I feel like vegetable seeds should honestly be touched on more. I know personally growing mint, growing basil just in your kitchen is so easy, and you need the tiniest pot and you just need such minimal sunlight. Like it's just so possible. And I feel like there's just no education on this right now. And everyone thinks gardening is this very complex thing and that you need all this land and space. And it's just, it doesn't have to be like that. So I don't really know my plan for Simply Seeds yet. This is honestly more like a personal project and just kind of, I guess for me, it just kind of is also holding me accountable to create a garden of my own. But yeah, we'll see where it goes. I'm excited about it. Seems like everyone else is, so that's cool.
I'm definitely looking forward to it. I am for sure one of those people that are like, oh my God, why is there so much instruction to this? For my daughter's birthday, I bought her a packet of like wildflower seeds or whatever. And then there was so many instructions, like you said. I was like, I don't know, don't you just like put it in the dirt and water it and wait? Like it should be that
Yes,
simple.
exactly.
Yeah. So
Yes. Like one of the ones I had from Home Depot was saying like, oh, the soil temperature should be this. And I'm like,
it's definitely intimidating for sure. So I'm very excited to see where you take this. I think you will definitely have a market. So it's exciting. Okay, but anyways,
Thank
let's go
you.
back to Terra. So you said
Okay.
you had been in it for it's been a year now. And
Yes,
you
correct.
did hit your 3,000 today, so congratulations.
Yes, that was a huge moment. I've been like, I mean, I will say metrics are not everything, but you can't help but look at your followers, you
Yeah,
know?
you have
And I've been looking at it the past week and I'm just like, I'm so close, so close.
yeah, you definitely have to count like your small wins because those are all stepping stones to this bigger picture, right? So again,
Yes.
congratulations. But tell us like what were some of your highest highs and your lowest lows in this past year of your business?
This is actually kind of funny. My highest high and my lowest low are related to each other. So I remember my biggest win was I sent a partnership pitch to a company called Greetable. And I did this so early on. Like I think this was just 2 months into Terra's launch. And I hadn't even released a formal collection of scents yet. Looking back on it, I was honestly all over the place. But the company Greetable is based in St. Louis. And I thought like, okay, maybe that's where the connection is. Like maybe that's what will get them. To this day, I don't know if that's actually what happened, but I remember sending them a pitch. And at one point, I honestly wanted to work for them because they're just this really cute company and I love their branding. I love everything they do. They basically make it easy to send little gifts to people no matter where you're located. And I thought my mini candle would be the perfect size for them to include in their gift offering. So I sent them a pitch, told them how I wanted to work for them X, Y, and Z years ago. And, you know, what I'm doing now with Terra. And, you know, if maybe there was possibly some way we could do something together in the future, or if I could have them carry my candles. And because they're located in St. Louis, they invited me into their office. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is a big thing. If they're having me drop off samples directly face to face to their office, like there's got to be something here. So I remember going through with that. And 2 weeks later, Mother's Day was coming up that next month, and they asked me if I wanted to basically make so many candles for Mother's Day. And I was just like, yes, absolutely. So that ties into the lowest low though. it was a big high because that was my first huge order. I believe it was 750 candles, and the time frame was tight. It was intense. It was like I needed to make this in 2 weeks. And I remember crying a little bit because I was like, can I actually?
Right.
Like, I'm a person who likes to say yes and think about it later, which thankfully this worked out. Everything was fine. However, then they said, if we need 750 more from you, will you be able to do it? And I was just like, yes, of course, like I'll do that. And when they mentioned that, I just went ahead and ordered the supplies needed, like right then and there, because I don't know, I just had kind of a strong feeling it was coming. So I ordered everything, and supplies for 750 candles, that is not cheap. And since I was so early on into Terra, I didn't have the capital from Terra to really make up for that second half of that order. And I remember, I think I dipped into my personal capital then, and then the order never happened. So that was like it wasn't like it was disappointing because they never like did a confirmed yes, this is going to happen. It was just kind of like me being hopeful, me trying to be prepared for it. But at the same time, I felt like it just kind of took a dip for Terra then, because I had all this stuff laying around, and my sales at the time, I was not putting out 700 candles a week or anything. It was just that one-off order. And so I do remember that whole summer, I had all these extra supplies laying around until I think October, honestly, but at least I got through them.
I was going to say, at least it was supplies that you could still use. It wasn't like a specific product that was going to go away after this greetable partnership.
Definitely.
But that's amazing. That's a huge step in the right direction to be able to partner with a brand that you actually wanted to partner with, and for them to just accept you pretty much right off the bat. That's incredible. So I'm assuming you do a lot of this kind of outreach, right? To partner with other people.
Yes.
Is that where you attribute most of your growth?
Yeah, so I'd say early on, that is probably the reason for my growth. I don't know if we want to talk numbers, but for me, it's easy to just put out numbers. So basically, I started Terra with $100. That's how much I put into the business to just kind of get the ball rolling and, see if I can make that $100 back and go from there. Well, at the end of 2020, I had 50K in Terra's bank account. So the growth was like phenomenal, but I really do attribute that all to the first 3 months and just cold emailing everyone, and just like being super active on Instagram. And it was all very, very targeted. I really only reached out to people within my city. So I think that is really where all the growth happened. And through that, the friends tell the friends, family members buy gifts for family members, and it just kind of like spread from there.
One of your posts from a few weeks ago, you mentioned how there was just this unexpected growth for Terra. And in that growth, you kind of lost sight of your original vision for the business. So what was that kind of like turning point? Tell us about that, like where you realized that you lost sight, and how were you able to step back, and what steps did you take to realign with your original vision?
So basically, in the midst of all of Terra's growth, like I would say from March to October, like those were just like very busy, very chaotic months for me. I just felt like I was just constantly just working to create candles and not really think about what I was doing. It was just like, I knew there was this need I needed to fulfill. So I was just like working at it as much as I could. And when the holiday season came around, that like quadrupled. So at that point, I remember saying, I don't feel like I'm running my business. I feel like my business is running me. And that's how I felt all of holiday season. So then after the holiday season, when things finally died down again, I kind of took a step back and just looked at where Terra was, where I see it going. I have this notebook from the very first day I thought about Terra, and like what I'd written down for all of Terra's, like what I would see Terra as becoming. And that was kind of the turning moment where it was just like, am I really doing what I wanted this to be in the beginning? Like part of me was like, yes, but not 100%. Like I felt like I was only doing bits and pieces of what I wanted Terra's full vision to be. And it really hit me hard when one of my friends asked me, basically, they're like, oh, I want to hear all about your travels. I want to hear about the travels and how they relate to your scents and all of that. And I was like, oh my gosh, I am really failing at that. I put these like very basic general descriptions on the scents. And I mean, yeah, sure, they sounded great, but it was like my personal connection and my travel experience was not there. So that's when I was like, okay, I guess I'm going to, in a sense, rebrand and just make sure, you know, my spoken content is on par with what I wanted Terra to be.
So is that why you are so present in your social media now? I mean, I've been following you for maybe a month or two, so I don't know if you've been as active like personally on your social media this entire time, or was that one of the steps that you took to really become more involved and share that story?
That this definitely now, like since that moment, I am taking it that step further to become more personal, share more of my story. Before I was active on social media, but it was like I was trying to hide myself behind it and just, you know, just showcase a really cool business, like really cool candles, you know, put the spotlight on that. But now it's like, why even bother? Like everyone knew I'm the only one making these candles. Like everyone knows I am Terra essentially. So yeah. From that moment forward, it was just kind of like, oh, why am I putting the lines between the two?
Right. Well, everyone seems to be really connecting with you and with those kinds of posts where you're putting yourself out there and you're showing your behind the scenes. I, for one, love seeing the behind the scenes of all these small businesses. I think it's really awesome to see like the actual work that goes into these products and services on a day-to-day basis. How important do you think it is for a business owner to be really present and personable on their business account?
I think that is probably the most important thing you can do. That is also the easiest thing you can do. I've always believed this and I've seen it come true. People buy from people, regardless whatever it is you're selling. I mean, if like at the end of the day, people want to support people. So if you have made some connection to someone, they are more likely to browse your website, see what you're offering. If you're always just doing like this cold pitch, or if you're always just sounding essentially like a wall and you're just talking about your products and only your products and nothing else, then it's like, you know, there's a reason we skip ads. Like, it's just like, this is uninteresting. It's not relatable. I don't see the person behind this. It's just kind of like, meh, I don't need another deodorant. Like, but if you saw like a video of someone hand pouring their handmade deodorant into their containers and packing them up, it's kind of like, oh, what is that? So I think it's a very valuable thing to do. And again, like you, I love seeing behind the scenes as well. So I think everyone could do it.
Yeah, I totally agree. Okay, so let's get back to the actual product. Can you tell us about the subscription boxes that you offer?
Yeah, so I thought it'd be a really cute idea if every month I did a different scent that was very, very in line with, you know, that current season, that current event that's happening. So for example, in February, I did a scent that was aligned with Valentine's Day. And this month in March, the scent is going to be aligned with St. Patrick's Day. So, you know, touching base on holidays, touching base on like just the seasons changing. I think just me as a candle maker, I want to explore my horizons and just make all the candles possible. But it was hard to do that while also maintaining a simplified collection that people can expect on my website. I think it's very important that even if you don't have it all together, it looks all together. So if every month I was just changing up my scents randomly, like, oh, now I'm going to do this, now I'm going to do that, I feel like that feels very unorganized. So creating a subscription box was a way for me to personally get out, you know, my creativity, my wants to, you know, try out new scents and see how people react to them. But then also in doing so, the subscription box, because it's not like you're on a contract, but it does just automatically deduct from you every month. But because of that, I made it discounted. So essentially you get a regular size candle and you get a mini candle. And I believe the value of the two, if you buy them separately on my website, is $44. But if you are a subscriber, you get that for $30 and shipping is included. So it's just kind of a win-win for everyone.
That's a really smart idea though. So instead of limiting yourself to what you can create, you found a solution for how you can still do that and still maintain the integrity of your main brand, right?
Exactly.
So,
yes.
yeah. So do these special scents ever make it to the permanent collection, or are they just gone for good once
Yeah.
the month is over?
So that's the awesome thing about this is it does help me gauge what people are interested in. In the past, I've definitely brought one of those scents and put it in like the winter collection. It also helps me just get a feel for what scents people generally like. Like I noticed citrus scents. Everyone loves my citrus scents. So just even being able to dissect just like the little parts of the candle notes and, creating something in the future from that.
And then let's talk about your double wick candles. Okay, so for those of you that missed our giveaway, we gave away one of her double wick love letter candles, which was from her Valentine's Day collection. And I specifically picked it because of the candle, the protector lid that you have on top, and it's wildflower seed infused, right? And I was just
Correct.
blown
Yep.
away. I was like, wow, that is such a smart idea. I love that idea. So tell us about that and how you came up with that.
So again, just trying to be aligned with what I wanted Terra to be from the beginning. Something, not something major, but something I wanted to try my best at was to be eco-friendly, or just kind of, put out something that people would reuse that is, a better alternative to what they might be using already. And I know it's often we buy candles and we throw away the jars. No judgment here, but it's like if I, as the candle maker, could, give you some reason to reuse the jar, like I feel like I would just be doing my part. And I had seen Wildflower Seed infused labels or tags. I've seen this paper exist. And so I was browsing the internet and I was just kind of like, do wildflower seed dust covers exist for candles? And sure enough, there is a website out there that makes these seed infused papers. And I don't know what all their offerings are, but they had a whole bunch of things and they had dust covers on there. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is perfect. I have that ceramic jar. Like I always thought the ceramic jar was really pretty and you could reuse it for like a pencil container or something, like it would just look pretty on your desk. But I was like, flowers, oh my gosh, that would be even better.
Yeah, and it totally works well. It's like it just so seamlessly integrates with your company already. So good move. Love
Yeah.
that. I love that. Okay, so on another post that I saw from you a few weeks ago, you were kind of like reintroducing yourself in a different way, like aside from Terra, and you were talking a little bit more about your background and all of these other projects that you had worked on before, like your Remedy app. You had a budget meal planner and like a travel blog. So have you
Mm-hmm.
always had this kind of like entrepreneurial spirit where you always wanted to like start a business or do something like that?
Yeah, I think this all kind of like came from my personal growth through like traveling, honestly. And I don't know if it was just I had a lot of free time that I was trying to figure out how to fill it with aside from working. Like it was like how can I turn my hobbies and not really with the goal how to make money from them, but how to like just expose them, right? And get more people to know about these things. And I don't know if it's really like entrepreneurial or if it's just like I just want people to know what's going on.
Yeah.
And I think that's where it derives from. But because of that, it does gain interest. And if there's interest, you could potentially turn that into a business.
Right. So you also launched Inventora, which is the inventory system that you and your boyfriend created, right? So you have so many projects going on. Like, how are you able to juggle your time? I mean, Terra seems to be doing incredibly well, and I'm sure you're busy all day pouring those candles. So how do you manage your time?
Well, for the longest time, I mean, all of 2020, Terra was my only commitment. Aside from in the beginning, I was still working as a graphic designer. Later in the year, I managed to take Terra full time and have it be my only commitment. So I was balancing those two for a while. And I remember early on, it was kind of like, okay, this is my 9 to 5 job, you know, my graphic design. So I'll do this every day. And basically, any free time I had in the evening, I dedicated towards Terra, which is also, I think, a reason why it grew very rapidly, because I was just very, very committed to that schedule. But then later on, Terra became full time. That was my only commitment. And then we created Inventora. And that was just created because I needed it, honestly. I was very disappointed when searching for an inventory system that there are none targeted towards small businesses. And they say they are, but when their pricing is like $500 a month, that is not feasible for a small business. I hate to say it, but it's like, no one can do that. So it was just really unfortunate. You know, I just couldn't find a solution. And with me having such a strong desire for that, I was like, oh my gosh, I just need this. I really need a solution. And my boyfriend has the background of a computer programmer, so he was able to put something together with, you know, knowing what I needed. And once we started using it, I was like, wow, this is like really slick. I was like, I want to share this with people because I know it's not just me having this problem. And we kind of like tidied it up, made it look a little better, because for a while it kind of just looked terrible because I was the only one using it. But we eventually opened that up to other people to use, and they're like, wow, this is great. You know, I've been looking for this too. And that's kind of become our new side project. And I guess this kind of goes back to when I had my full-time job and was balancing Terra. Now it's kind of like I do the same with Inventora and Simply Seeds. I try to knock out Terra from 8 to 5 o'clock. I have a lunch break in there, and I try to keep it as like scheduled and routine as possible. And then in the evenings, you know, it's very important for me to have downtime too. So I try to take it slow in the evenings, and it's like, I'll work a little bit on Simply Seeds. I'll work a little bit on Inventora, because we're kind of do like social media with that. So it's important that I, you know, engage with people and be active on there. But yeah, it's kind of just having those like very strict time frames and knowing from this set amount of time I work on this, and then this set amount of time I work on that.
That's great. For me, I'm more all over the place, so I need to get better with my time management. But whatever you're doing, it's obviously working. I already forgot what I was going to say. But anyways, you're doing amazing things. So last question, how is your new workspace coming along?
Oh my gosh. So this is like where my heart is right now. Like, it is honestly so hard for me to even work, because right now I have like a temporary setup, and it's just in this small room that's in the basement, which is really nice, by the way, because when I was doing this in an apartment, it was kind of like I had one side of the apartment for my candle making, and because it was just an open studio layout, I could just look across and see the kitchen. I could see the living room, and it's just like, oh, it's so hard dividing work from, you know, your personal time. But now it's like I'm in the basement. I literally have no windows. There's this like weird fake window down there though that we need to like figure out what's going on with that. But it's like, I know this is work time and I cannot see anything else. But it's really exciting because on the other side of the basement, I think it's like 1,200 square feet of just unfinished basement right now. And we're going to work on turning that into a candle studio. And my boyfriend, he grew up around his dad who builds houses. So he has this like background of already knowing how to put in the wall studs, the flooring, all this stuff. So he's kind of taken that on as his project, whereas I'm going to like decorate it and do all the fun stuff. Oh, it's just levels better than what it used to be already.
Well, congratulations on the new workspace. I hope it'll be finished soon, and congratulations on the
Yes.
house. It's beautiful. You have so much land.
Thank you.
Yeah, it looks so like peaceful and serene. And I see you
Yes,
taking
it
lunch
really
breaks
is.
out there, and I'm so jealous. But
Yeah.
anyways.
It's a gloomy day today, though, so no need to be jealous right now.
Well, anyways, thank you so, so much, Dianna, for joining us today. Thank you all at home for tuning in and joining us for this interview. Again, if you want to check out her collection, terrasimply.com. And when you use code Book of Bijou, you will get one free mini candle with the purchase of any candle. Just make sure you add both items to your cart and the discount will be automatically applied. Follow the both of us on Instagram, Book of Bijou, Terra Simply. Subscribe to our YouTube channel or our podcasts, wherever you're listening to or watching this. And again, thank you so much. And thank you, Dianna. You've been absolutely amazing.
Thank you so much, Crystal. This has been really fun.